I have to get better for myself because somebody else can't do it for me. There's no one I can lean back on or rely on, like in a team sport.
Welcome to the only place where real, raw, and vulnerable conversations happen with IFBB Bikini Pros to give you an inside look at their struggles, strategies, mindset, passions, and all of life beyond the stage. This podcast is made to inspire, motivate, and remind competitors and the average gym goer that even the most extreme lifestyles and elite athletes have their ups and downs. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm your host, Celeste Turk, and now it's time for the Confessions of a Bikini Pro podcast. Today, we are speaking with an athlete who works as an online coach with her love of bodybuilding and spending the last several years learning, growing, and evolving through every phase of this sport, from the stage to off-season and everything in between. This sport really transformed her life and inspired her mission to help others experience the same growth and finding balance between the grit and the glam, showing up with intention, and leading from the front as an athlete and a coach. She is a great example of how placings do not determine your destiny, and you really can go from dead last to winning and even making it all the way to the Olympia stage, all while having the most meaningful transformations happen off the stage. Welcome to the show, Taylor Crowell. How are you doing?
That was literally the best intro I think I ever could have asked for. I am doing so good. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. It's my pleasure. I'm so happy that you're here. And I always like to start off by asking if there's anything you do think about, or maybe even a ritual you have before your heel hits the stage.
So, funny enough, I actually grew up competitively dancing. So, the stage is kind of like my second home. So honestly, I don't do much. I kind of just get excited. You can ask any of the girls backstage. I'm probably talking to every single person next to me. And then right before I get on stage, I kind of just look out to see if I can see, my coaches, my fiance, and just allow that to kind of like level me. And then the second my shoe hits a stage, it's like I have a whole nother persona that comes out all of a sudden.
That's so awesome. I love it when you can actually see the people you're looking for in the crowd.
Yes. Yeah. It was like, I even at the Olympia, I was like, there's no way I'm able to find anybody. But like where they had us standing, like I could see out and like I could see my fiance like, and I was like, shut
Aw,
up. Like
that's so
it was
awesome.
nice. Yeah.
Speaking of that, when you looked out at the crowd at the Olympia, was it intimidating at all?
So it was actually more intimidating walking into the venue and seeing everybody there. Like I think also growing up like with competitive dancing, I'm used to like having like the immense amount of people in the audience and everyone watching you and stuff.
Mhm.
But it was more of that like feeling of holy crap, like this is the biggest stage and everyone is here because we're the best of the best and they want to see us. So like it kind of added the pressure on at that moment and like
Yeah.
kind of was like a okay, hold on, we're actually here, like even after the whole week of doing all this stuff for Olympia. But it was like it was so surreal. And then I feel like once you like got on stage and like you could like see the judges and like almost like your comfort people, I guess, because like you can see like the judges that you've been seeing all year. Like Connor was there, my fiance, my sister was there. I could see Jamie and Greg, like all those people that like you hone it on towards. It was easy enough to find them, even with the immense amount of people that were in there.
Like some Where's Waldo type.
Exactly. They're like texting us. They're like under the camera to the right, in a green shirt. I'm like, we will find you.
That's amazing. I love it. When did you get, or when did you become a fiance?
It's been 4 years now. So 2021, right after I got my pro card, actually, it was that
Wow.
weekend. Yeah. And
Wow.
yeah, so he actually bought the ring. We've been together for 11 years now. So it's been a while.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
yeah, no, it's actually insane because we've known each other since we were like 3 years old. So it's kind of just like
Seriously?
progressed. Yeah. So like our parents actually went to the gym together and like we would have like play dates and like work out and like we would hang out in, like that Gold's gym, like the kids area. And then we went to like middle school, high school together. Um, but he bought the ring and then he said like if she turns pro, I'm gonna propose. But if not, I'm gonna wait because I don't want this to like be something. So he already was going into the weekend like way more stressed, I guess, than I was.
Hmm.
And I almost pulled out of doing Universe, that show, because he tore his pec a week before.
No.
Yeah, so he had to get surgery and everything. I think it was like a week and a half-ish, like right before. So I was gonna pull out, and he was like dead set. I'm like, no, you're not pulling out. Like little did I know,
Oh,
because he had
yeah.
all these plans to like propose and everything.
Oh my gosh. So how did he propose?
We actually went to like New York, and like he's never been. So I was like, oh, like, let's go walk around like the city, and like we'll go like to the park. And it just happened to be there was this like one bridge in, is it Central Park? I think that's
Uh-huh.
what it's called. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
there was like one bridge where there was like water and there was like trees and everything. So it was like really pretty for like photos. And like he just all of a sudden like asked my friend who was with us, like, hey, like, can you take our picture? Like Taylor loves like memories, like let's take photos. And then I was like, okay, like weird. Like he never takes photos. So I was like, this is so odd, but I still didn't
Yeah.
like put two and two together. Um, and then he just asked me, and I was like, I think I was more in shock than anything, because
Oh,
it's like something that you like think about, but then like when it happens, it's like, okay, hold on, wait, this is real. Like,
that's so amazing. Can't believe you guys knew each other since you were three. So I'm assuming your parents are still friends.
yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. There, it was crazy because when we first started dating, I was with my mom, like, yeah, like I know this kid, like, but like she didn't put two and two together, and then I showed her like a baby picture of him, and she's like, oh my God, that's Desiree's son. Yes, that's
No.
Connor. Yeah, so and it was crazy because we were at that time when we first started dating, it was 11 years ago, so I was 16. So it was like his mom dropped him off, and they were like, wait a second, like it was almost like just like two worlds like recombining, and it was like
Oh,
super sweet.
that's so awesome. Wow. And you met him at the gym,
Yeah,
Coach.
pretty much. Yep. And then
Little play dinner.
he's actually the reason I started competing too. So it's like,
Really?
yeah, so he actually competed first. He did I want to say two shows. And because I used to competitively dance, I loved like the bling and the glam and like all of that. So I was like, how do I get a sparkly suit? How do I achieve one of those? And then he was like, well, get a coach, sign up. You're already working out. Like, what's the difference? You already track macros. And then from there, it kind of started. We did a show together, and he was like, you're way more into this than I am, and you enjoy this so much more. He's like, I would rather be like the stage dad for you and like be there to support you than me keep competing.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
really interesting, actually. So that was in 2018, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And you basically from that moment on, did you fall in love with it? Because he said you were way into it.
Yeah. I think so. Since I grew up competitively dancing, it was something that like I did that, and then I ended up breaking both of my ankles, so I had to stop. And then I
Wow.
started playing lacrosse. Yeah, it was,
At the
it
same
was.
time?
So I broke one, and then they kept telling me like it's just in your head, like the pain's not that bad. It's probably just a sprain because we were so deep in like competition
Yeah.
season. So I was like, yeah, you're right, you're right. It's probably just a sprain, no big deal. And then I ended up like I did like a jump or something, and I landed on my other foot, and it like bent and it's like cracked.
Stop.
And then I couldn't like really put weight on it. So then I went into the doctor. They did the one, and they're like, it's definitely broken. And then they're like, but you're walking weird on your other foot too. Can we do an X-ray? And when they did, they were like, this one's broken also. Like they were like,
No way.
yeah. So they put me in like a cast on one side and a boot on the other, and I was like, fantastic. And this
Were
was
you
probably like,
wheeling or were you like crutching?
um, I I started with the crutches, and then I just started walking on them because they gave me like the piece underneath, because I was like,
Yeah.
I was in middle school too, so it was one of those things where I'm like, if I could cut this thing off myself, I will, 100%.
Holy moly. And that's what's crazy too. And I imagine that probably informed a lot of your grit as an athlete now, because when you grow up in sports, like as a volleyball player, it was the same thing. Like, oh, your ankle, well, like we're gonna wrap it. Don't take your shoe off until
Yes,
the end of the match. And then we'll
yes.
wrap it after. And so you learn to push through a lot of pain, sometimes to the detriment of our
Hmm.
longevity. Do you find that that's true in bodybuilding? Like that's actually informed some of your, yeah, grit.
Yeah, and for sure. For like example, my first prep that I ever did, I actually ended up hurting my back within like the first 2 weeks of starting prep. Uh,
No.
I was on the Smith machine, and I went to lock it out, and they greased the wrong side. So instead of it clipping like it should have, it slid back off. But I was already like halfway out. So when it came back down on my back, the barbell almost like hit the top of my shoulders and it bent my back like this way. So it like hyperextended it and tore like one whole side.
Holy
Like,
crap.
yeah, it was like to the point where like I wasn't allowed to like walk. I wasn't allowed to like, do anything until like I saw a doctor because they were like, if you have like no feeling on that one side, like you could have just paralyzed yourself by something in the gym.
Literally.
Luckily it wasn't. It was just like I tore it, but I was in prep and I was like, I can't go to my coach and be like, hey, by the way, I hurt myself, so I'm just gonna pull out. So I just kept going. Like I was like, I'm gonna do my cardio, stay on the bike. I'm gonna make sure like I get my steps done, even if it's slow. I'm gonna hit my meals, like all those little things. Where now
Wow.
I'm like, you probably should have taken the rest and the break, but I'm like, it just showed me that like no matter what came up or like whatever, I am mentally stronger than like whatever's put in my path. So I feel like that's something that like I picked up where I was like, okay, like we probably should have done it this way, but like at the same time, like there's so much that I could use this now to like know for myself that I can continue to like just push past and like push through. Because even if there's like a barrier on something or like how you're feeling or like whatever, it's like, okay, you were in so much pain you weren't walking, but you were still dead set on like getting your cardio done and making your meals and hitting your steps, even if it was like 10 steps every hour, like things like that. But yeah,
Wow.
definitely. I think growing up in sports changes kids for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm glad that you said that about the Smith machine actually, because I don't know if everybody's heard the episode that I did with Charlotte Peterson, but she actually was paralyzed by the Smith machine. Same
It's terrifying.
situation. I don't even touch that thing anymore after hearing that.
No, after that happened, I think I use it like I'll use it if I need to send like my clients videos or like something. But like other than that, like you probably won't catch me using the Smith machine because it's just like an immediate like PTSD response.
For
Like this thing's gonna
sure.
come back down on me.
Yeah, I think I only use it for hip thrusts now. I mean, not now that I'm pregnant, but prior
Yeah.
to that, I'm like, I don't feel like loading the bar up or
Oh,
something. It's like, let me just get on the Smith. And I felt like my glutes were super, this is a sidebar, but like my glutes got super activated when I would use the Smith machine sometimes as opposed to the barbell.
yeah, and I feel like the barbell, you're right. The setup is it's the worst part of the entire thing. Like I have glute bridges like once a week on my plan right now, and every
Oh,
time we get to it, I'm like, do I have to? Is there another way I
right?
could do this? Like I'm like, I literally learned how to do it on the Smith machine because I was like, I am not carrying this barbell around the gym with me. I'm
Yeah.
not putting the weights on. And then I'm like, you want me to roll it up over me? But I'm like,
Literally,
it's so heavy. Like
it's so
what?
heavy. Exactly.
Yeah.
You just like, and then after a hard set, you're just like laying under it, like, okay, now I have to get up. It's like I can't feel my legs or my butt anymore.
No, I was literally laying there one day and like this girl came over. She's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm completely fine, and I love this for you." But like, I was like, I just can't get back up. I'm like, I have not to get back down to do the same thing. I'm like, just let me lay here. I'm okay.
Yeah, like if I don't get up in 5 minutes, sure.
Yeah.
But
Then
for
do
now,
another lap.
yeah, exactly. Oh, well, back to what you were saying too, like you should have rested. That's an interesting point that I wanted to come to because let's this won't happen, but let's say we fast forward and this happened in now. Would you rest?
Yes. Yes, 1000%. Because like even now, like I still have pain a good amount of the time, especially with posing and stuff like that.
Mm.
The only thing that's like kind of mitigated it now for me is I've been doing a lot of like mat Pilates where it's a lot more like core work and like slow breathing and like really using your body instead of like the Pilates machines. So like that is
Oh.
the only thing now that I have no back pain because like I have a significant difference in just the way I feel from it. From I started doing mat Pilates in March, so it hasn't been that long. We did pull it out before the Olympia just due to like it's in a hot room, it's like 100 degrees. So like the electrolyte imbalance and stuff like that, and also just making sure like I'm not getting too depleted or injured. So we did pull it out, and like I even told Jamie, I was like, I feel a difference.
Oh,
Like
wow.
for just being out of there for 2 weeks, I'm like, I can tell that like it's just still not like strength, like strong enough by itself, that it
Hmm.
needs that almost like constant work to just make sure that it is strong enough. And like that's another thing too, is I don't think like I didn't take enough emphasis on like core work afterwards. and
Yeah.
like focusing on like getting that really strong because like that was what 2018. No one's telling you like, hey, if you hurt your back, focus on your core. Where
Right.
like now everyone's like vacuums, abs, crunches, like focus on bracing your core when you're training. So it was like that's another thing too. Like if I would have been injured now, it's almost like I could have been like, okay, core work, it's what needs to start with, and then my back can go ahead and heal itself. But there's nothing there to support it. So
Yeah,
now I feel like because I'm focusing so much on like I went from not being able to do a plank for 30 seconds, so I can do it for 3 minutes now.
that's
Like
awesome.
so like little things like that where I'm like, holy crap, like this made such a difference. Where was this in 2018 for me? You know?
Well, they were so like in especially in bodybuilding, I remember it was so discouraging to train abs. Like it was like not even a thing. You were like, wear
Yes.
your weight, like wear your belt super tight and almost like we were being taught to turn off our abs because everyone was so afraid of developing blocky midsection when in reality a lot of that what I've learned over the years anyways is majority of that is genetic and
Yes.
or weighted but we need like to just stimulate our core muscles and I have multiple memories of like wow my core was so weak until I started to like emphasize the use of it. I mean it was weak and I think it actually was a disservice to getting stronger in other main movements.
That was the biggest thing is like I never realized, especially with like shoulder pressing, like how much you're
Yeah.
actually like utilizing your core until it's like, oh, I can actually double my weight if I just brace my core properly and then I'll feel it where I'm supposed to. But like even to bring up like the fact of like they were telling you not training. I have like an exact memory of Ashley Cutwalter when they told her her abs were too etched and they were too muscular. And I feel like that is where like the turning point came from because everyone's like, wow, she looks beautiful, she's streamlined, but too much abs. And that was kind of when I feel like people started either like retracting them doing like ab exercises, or they got that like you're gonna get that like blocky six pack look.
Yes. Oh yeah, I can absolutely remember it was um Ashley Kaltwasser in particular that we were seeing that type of feedback coming through, which is interesting now because they like use some of those photos for Fit Model, but like they don't.
Yes.
I don't even know, Taylor. I don't know anymore. I try to just embrace whatever the heck it is. I'm trying to remember when Issa was Miss Bikini Olympia. Was that 23? 22?
It was, I think it was 22.
Yeah, let me see when it was because now I'm like really curious because I feel like that was also a major.
Yes, a huge turning point where it went from like
Mhm.
abs and six packs and obliques to like this little teeny tiny waist.
Exactly. Yes. Well, and like Janet was a good example of the tiny waist but some ab development. Oh,
Yes.
okay. It was 2019. Dang.
Oh, holy crap. That feels like it was forever ago.
So that actually is interesting though, because we were just talking about how in 2018 it was all keep your waist small, and then they awarded in 2019
Yeah,
Issa,
that makes sense.
and
Yeah.
prior to that it was Angelica, if I remember correctly, because like when I entered bikini, I was like, I loved Angelica's
Oh,
look.
I love it. I still
Amazing.
love Angelica's
Yeah,
look.
me
I'm like,
too.
every time I see her, I'm still like blown away. I'm like she always looks so good. And she's one of those that like when people ask me like, oh, like about the sport and like who's somebody to look up to, like she's always one of those
Mm,
because no matter what, she's always stayed true to like who she was. Even like with her being a mom, like she's still talking about how like she can get back to bodybuilding because not just for the competing aspect, but because she loves it. And like
yeah.
I feel like it's such a great thing for everybody to see too that like no matter where life takes you, at the end of the day, if you love bodybuilding, it's always going to be there, maybe just in a different form.
Absolutely. Oh, that's so true. You can't really take away the impact bodybuilding has on your life either. Like, I'm sure for you, I'd love to hear from you how bodybuilding has actually influenced the development of your character and who you are outside of the stage.
So I think bodybuilding definitely made me more of a, it's gonna sound weird, but like a girl's girl kind of. Um,
Yeah.
because I feel like truthfully, like growing up competitively dancing, like you do meet girls that are like, they are just not, they're
Yeah.
not your friends. Like it's very
Yeah.
catty. So coming to bodybuilding, it was definitely like a change of pace where I was like, oh, like these girls want to be friends with me because we do the same thing or like, things like that. And I definitely think that it opened my eyes too to like it's not always going to be how I look versus somebody else. I'm not in a competition with people around me. where dancing and all that, you are. Like it's almost like you're put next to these people to beat them. Where bodybuilding showed me that like no matter what I'm doing, I'm not competing against the girl next to me. There is room for everybody to win, regardless of its work, if it's on the stage, if it's at the gym with a PR, if it's getting in the car you always hoped and dreamed of. These are not competitions that I'm in with somebody else by any means. And
Right.
like I think that's the one thing that bodybuilding like truthfully like changed for me was I went from like that very like competitive in every aspect. Like, oh, we're lifting and we're squatting and you're doing 225, I'm doing 250, not a problem. Like that was something that I always did with I was always trying to like one up everybody because it was like you're almost like bred as like a child athlete
Yeah.
to want to constantly compete and want to constantly try to be better. And then it was like with bodybuilding, it was like the only person that needs to be better is me. I don't need to worry about someone else getting better. Like I need to worry about how I'm going to get better. And that looks different, whether it's following my reverse diet, drinking my water. It's lifting heavier, showing up with intent. Those little things, like even with work stuff too. It's like it gave me that discipline and like the drive to continuously, no matter like where I was working or what I was doing, was I have to get better for myself because somebody else can't do it for me. There's no one I can lean back on or rely on, like in a team sport. So like bodybuilding truthfully was like, this is what you have and this is who you are. Either you're going to take it and do something with it or you're not. And you're
Right.
always going to be 5 steps behind either somebody else or where you want to be if you don't just focus on you and getting what you need done for yourself.
For sure. Yeah, that's very well said too. I can relate when I left team sports to compete in bodybuilding. I remember one of the things I was looking forward to actually was an individual sport, like not having to depend on other people to be following through on things in order for us to perform well. I liked that now, whatever the outcome was in the gym or otherwise, it was a result of my efforts and actions only. Now, granted, bodybuilding, genetics, there's other things at play, of course, and I can say I've lost way more than I've won, way more.
I
Most of
think
us
we
have.
all have.
Yeah. It's kind of part of the territory. But it was nice to finally be in something, like you said, where you were competing against yourself and also then you were connecting with people because of the love of the sport and the passion for life and what it brings you.
Yeah, I definitely think that bodybuilding has brought me some of my best friends. And like these are people that like they get you. Like you can pick up the phone. Like, for example, like last night, my friend Erica, she's doing nationals in 3 weeks. And she's like, I just need someone to talk to because I'm in a hard place. And I was like, let's get on the phone. I don't care what time zone you're in, I don't care what time it is, but like
Oh.
these are people that like I only met Erica back in March at the Olympia. I'm not the Olympia, at the Arnold's. And we're like this, like because we get each other. And it's something that I feel like is so different that you don't get a lot of times, especially with being like I'm 27. So like if I go out, like I'm not gonna be like, oh my gosh, hey, I bodybuild. Like, what do you guys do? Like it's a lot
For
harder to
real.
like could you imagine like you go to like a bar and you're like, hey, what do you guys do for fun? And they're like, oh, like this, and I'm like, oh, I bodybuild. And they're like, what? So it's like nice that like no matter I feel like where we go or like where what time like in our life we're in, like these are the relationships that like they get you. They understand that like, hey, you might not be in prep, but you're in off season. So now you're focusing on X, Y, and Z, and you might not have time still to like get on a FaceTime call, but like we're always there still checking on each other because we get it. We all get it.
For sure. Yeah, that's such a great point. And I think having a support system is really important in this sport. People like to believe that it's totally independent, but you've got a lot of people usually rooting for you. You know, it's not just like for some people they're sponsored, right? So you've got your sponsors rooting for you, but for other people it's their family, their friends, the other people in the sport that they meet, which is incredible and I think makes a huge difference. And I'm curious how people in your life have shown up to support you because it sounds like, you've done that for others. So I'm curious what influence that's had on you.
Truthfully, I really feel like this changed for me when I did transfer over to Fit Body Fusion. Because I came from another coach who like there wasn't a team. I was like literally the only competitor. There was really nobody else there. So like
Oh, wow.
every show I was by myself, either like my coach wasn't there or like there's just no one on my team. So I was always just kind of like that random girl, like sitting in the corner by herself, like
Oh,
on her phone, listening to music and that kind of thing. And then when I transferred to Fit Body Fusion, I noticed that like there was so much like care, but also support from everybody, whether it's a teammate, it's someone that's had an experience with that, it's backstage, I forgot my earring, someone has one, like
yeah.
things like that, where I feel like, yes, the sport is lonely, but it's lonely if you make it lonely. And like that was something that like I really truly like felt like I was like I went my first what 7 years, but pretty much like by myself and like being that like moving and like you're
Yeah.
going. I went to nationals and like I was the only person on my team that was there, and like things like that where it's like when you have the community, it I don't even know how to explain it. Like it changed so much, like so much for me, and just like feeling like I could keep going every season because every show I did, I felt so fulfilled. Whether I won, I lost, my worst placing, it didn't matter because I knew that there was girls there that wanted to see me win. I want to see them win. That we're all working together, and it's not me versus them. It was, for example, like Texas, I got fifth, and one of my teammates, Brittany, she didn't. She got, I think, like the next like third call out, and like she was extremely happy for me and like supportive and
Mhm.
like was like, "What do you need to do better tonight? Like, what can we do?" And like things
Mhm.
like that, I think makes such a difference in bodybuilding. Like you're right, it is a lonely sport. It does take a lot of sacrifice, but it just takes a little bit of getting out of that comfort zone to like find your people or like talk to people backstage that can support you. Like I feel like now too, like I don't really meet anyone that's catty in bodybuilding, especially in the women's division. I feel like the men take care of that for all of us.
I know,
Um,
literally. The
I'm like,
drama.
yeah, I'm like, you guys are a lot to handle, but we'll be over here. We're gonna be braiding each other's hair and shading and
Literally.
sharing rice cakes backstage. But I just feel like that's even just like going to shows without Jamie there, like there would be other coaches on site that like no matter what I needed, there was somebody. Like if I needed, for example, I love Ashley from Main Secrets. I
Yeah.
had a hair incident. And she saved me literally like last minute, like had hair extensions that match my color hair, was able to get me an appointment like literally the date, like the night before. So it's like, I just feel like it sounds so cheesy, but like I feel like everyone you meet in bodybuilding really truly is there for you and will support you through literally anything, even if you don't know them. If you're like, hey, I'm out of rice cakes, I'm sure you could find somebody that's like, hold on, girl, I got three sleeves over here. Let's bring them to
Literally.
you. And I think that's like I don't know. I just feel like that's the one thing I truly do love about bodybuilding the most is like forget the competing. Like somebody asked me like, oh, like what's your biggest thing from Olympia that like you were most excited for? I was like, not getting on stage. I was like, my biggest thing is being around these girls and
Hello.
seeing us all win and being able to like hang out and like just being that like fun, like almost like girls trip vibe backstage. Like I was
Yes.
like, if you take competing away, I'm still showing up. I'm still going to hang out with these girls. I'm still like having the fun of it, but competing just adds to that, I guess. I don't even know if that answered your question at
No, it
all.
did. No, actually, it didn't just answer that question, but it answered other questions of mine. So I was really happy with how you explained that because I was actually curious, like about moments you'd maybe relive or always remember from bodybuilding. It sounds like for you, that's the community.
And that's like I think when it really hit me was backstage at Atlantic Coast last year when I was sitting backstage and everyone's like, I think you got it. I think you got it. And I was like, I'm competing against Angelica. Like, please
Yeah.
pause for a second. But I was talking to them and they were like, we've noticed that you've lost so much. Like, how do you keep showing? Like, I came from a show the week prior where I got dead last.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, well, it doesn't matter. I was like, I like this part. I like this backstage. I like the fun of it. I love getting to meet new people that like maybe don't live in Florida, but they travel here for a show that now we get to
Right.
connect and like really get to have that like personal experience. Like there's so many girls around the entire world that I've met that like I absolutely adore. And I wish they lived here so we could just hang out next door to each other all the time or like train.
Right.
But like just knowing that like I was able to meet them and be able to talk to them because of bodybuilding, I think is amazing.
That's again very well said because I think that puts in perspective. Sometimes you miss and wish you were around other people and we forget what a blessing it is just the fact that we got to spend any time with them and meet them and maybe we get to bump into them at future shows or now you've got someone like a pen pal on Instagram, you know, who you're messaging with and relating with and it's really wonderful because I've found throughout the years, like there's been people who have met at events or bodybuilding seminars or shows that now like we'll talk about I mean anything like, oh, how was your pregnancy, or oh, what have you found with step parenting, or on and on and on and on, even down to like, did you watch the latest episode of such and such,
Yeah.
like it's
Yeah.
great to have just friends who you also have similar values to. And you did make a good point about your placing. So you did have those ups and downs, and you went from fourth at a national show early in your journey to then 15th to then back up to the sixth place before winning your pro card. What had to happen over the years? So basically from 2020, your first national show, I believe, to your pro card win, what had to happen for you to actually win? And then how did that maybe influence the way you view things now?
So I will never forget that national show in 2020 because I went just to see if I was even made for the sport. I was like, at that point, I was getting like third, I was getting fifth. Like there was really never like anything that solidified that I was made for bodybuilding or I should be doing this in any way. So I told Connor, I was like, I think I'm just gonna go. It's COVID year. What do I have to lose? I'm not even working. I have nothing going on. Let's just go and we'll see what happens. I got off stage and I remember I was like, I'm in first call outs. I hold on a second. I'm like, wait a minute. Like this is insane. And also I was like maybe like this big. Like I was little teeny tiny.
Right, right.
So I was like, oh my gosh, like I can actually do this. And I think that that really lit a fire in me to know like, okay, I am made to do this. I just need to figure out what I have to do to get to that next level because I'm not there yet. And it was one of those things where like I did my own training program and things like that. So it was like a lot of it was stuff that I had to take on myself, whether it was like looking up like what movements do what, how to mitigate away from like my back pain, how can I increase like the what I'm getting out of my cardio, how can I do better on my diet because I was using things like those damn Bam Body Nutrition brownies.
I used to be a sponsored athlete with them, actually.
I was obsessed with
So
them. I would
good.
do that with Halo Top and like whipped cream, but it fit my macros, so like who cared? And like that was kind of when I realized like, okay, I actually do need to start turning away from this kind of stuff
Hmm.
and turning more into like whole foods and focusing on like the training, which is like what brought me to bodybuilding anyways. So I was like, I need to nail all of these things. Posing was easy because it was like I grew up competitively dancing, so I could fix it as I needed to go. But it was more of I need to lock in on everything else and make sure that everything else is 100%, whether it's how I'm doing my cardio, when I'm doing my cardio, when am I drinking my water, how am I finishing, and like things like that, that like at the time my coach wasn't necessarily like more on top of. Like compared to what I'm used to now. Like now I'm like, everything's covered. So it's a little bit different, but it was more of like, a lot of it fell in my lap of things that I needed to do. So it kind of worked out that I was able to learn throughout my whole first journey. And then when I got 15th at nationals, I knew going on that stage I wasn't ready. Like I like had the conversation with my coach. I was like, I'm not ready. I don't know why I'm getting on the stage. I can tell you I'm not. She was like, just go and get the feedback, whatever. We went. Sandy was like, no shot. Don't ever wear maroon again. And she was like, I don't know what happened, but this is not what you normally look like. And I
Hmm.
was like, okay, like you're right. I will not wear maroon again. I promise. And I will make sure that everything is, I need to be comfortable getting on stage. And that was kind of when I realized that, like, I am very in tune with my body and I don't necessarily get prep goggles very badly,
Hmm.
because I feel like I can really look at myself and be like very like subjective and be like, no, this is what needs to be fixed. We need to increase this. We need to do this
Hmm.
instead of being like, okay, hold on, I'm a beluga whale still. What is going on? Like,
Right. Yeah, good. That's great that you have that ability because, well, I guess I should say, especially before you switched, because you were doing a lot of your own legwork on that. And then plus as a coach, I imagine that helps you to help other people work through that and support them, because I know that the prep goggles can be real. Did you ever experience it, or you did?
yes, this last season. This,
Oh gosh. Once you got like, yeah, you didn't
yes.
have to be as
Yeah, so this year I definitely saw it. It was I was I think 8 weeks out from Tampa Pro and Jamie was like, "You're ready." And I was like, "No, I'm not." What is I was like, "You need a better prescription. I am not ready." And then I happened to go to St. Pete Pro, and a bunch of the coaches were on site. So she had me check in person. They were all like, no, she's like a week out. Like, we don't know where she's coming from. Like, she's like a week out conditioning. And I think it was the fact that I had so much, I put on like 8 pounds of muscle from one season to the next. So I think a lot of it was like, yeah. And I went from being so lean and like depleted to like full muscular, like bubbly looking. So I was kind of like, no, like this does not reflect how I looked last year at Atlantic Coast. So I was almost like putting my photos next to each other and being like, I'm so far off. Like I don't see it. Like I'm so far. But it was the fact that like when you have more muscle, you don't have to be as lean. You don't have to be as depleted, which is nice too.
Yeah. Well, you kind of got me thinking when you said 8 pounds of muscle gained in an off season. I'm like, well, shoot, tell us how you did that.
Definitely, I ate a lot. I
Yeah,
oh yeah, that's I think that's one of like the biggest things. Like I'm eating more now, or I've eaten more during a prep than I think I ever have my entire life. Like
that's
peak week
awesome.
going into shows, like yeah, like eating just so much food. I think the main thing that really changed for me and like helped me grow was the fact that I stuck to my reverse 100%. There was no slip ups. There was
Hmm.
like nothing, and like that's huge for me because I was one of those that I was like, all right, prep's over, screw it. Like we're on to the next. Like I'm just gonna get
Yep.
jacked and eat whatever I can. But then why am I doing 2 hours of cardio? I'm like this in a prep. I'm like, now I'm just losing all the muscle I put on.
Right.
So it was like, I think this last off season, I realistically only got over my stage weight by like 15 pounds.
That's
Like it
great.
was yeah. So it was like an easy, like, oh, you want to prep? Okay, go. You're good. You jump in. Like instead of, taking the time, like where I think I always tell everybody about like my first reverse because I will never forget it. I literally left that show. I bought like one of those like big chocolate cakes from Walmart and I ate the entire thing. And I was like, yeah, this
Damn.
is what I'm gonna do. Yep. And I was like, this is it. I'm like, this is all I want. And then I'll never forget like days later, like just feeling like, why?
Yeah, I
What did
bet.
I do?
Well, it starts to hit you too, like, I'm putting my actions right now are going to influence my future
Yeah.
self's needs. You're going to have to do XYZ cardio. You're going to have to push in this way. Now, I'm not saying a perfect or even 80% effort reverse is going to prevent an intense amount
Yeah.
of, let's be
No.
real, it's highly likely, especially at an amateur level if you haven't yet. Because the pro level, like you see the amount of muscle and the amount of yeah, density, really maturity that you've achieved, and you go, well, it makes sense that their body's working a lot more for them. Whereas when you're an
Yes.
amateur and you're still growing in that way, you're also going to face a bit more pushing, you
Yes.
could
And
say.
that was like one of the biggest things. I was like, the food's always going to be there type of thing. But it was like
Mhm.
this last one, I just felt like something like clicked where I was like, there is no reason why I need to go eat all these things that like one, don't fuel me, two, my stomach hurts, or
Yeah,
three, like I go back later on, I'm like, why didn't I just eat my meal? Like I would have just been
right.
happier. So I think that was one of the biggest things that changed was like I no longer saw food as like a reward. I saw it as fuel. And I was like, this is what's gonna get me to that next position. Because I felt like I was always so close, but so far. And the only thing that like I feel like really changed was my discipline for myself and like
Hmm.
giving myself boundaries. I'm like, hey, I don't want to be like for example, like I'm 5'4", so for me I'm not that tall. Okay. But like I
Me
would get to
either.
like 170 my off season. Like that's heavy for me. Like that's a good amount of weight for me. Sorry, my dog jumped.
Okay.
um but like things like that where it was like if I can just lock in as well as I do during prep, what is the difference of the outcome going to be for me? Is it going to
Right.
be more muscle? Is it going to be I have a better look? Is it I'm not as tired? I can enjoy prep. Like that was my biggest thing too. Is I was like, I always want to enjoy my preps. And before my pro debut and Miami, I was not enjoying it. I literally was like, I could retire today and have no issue. I could walk away and be completely fine. Like, and then it was like,
Hmm.
but I could change this.
Yeah.
Like, let's see what I could do to like change this for myself. And then when I finally started to like realize like, okay, like a lot of this is more on me than anybody else or any other factor around me. I can continue to improve. I just need to make sure that everything is aligning so that when I go into that next season, it's not like, okay, like, yeah, you did no cardio, but you ate like everything in your sight. So now your weight's still up, but you're not holding a
Right.
composition that you enjoy. And it was one of those like finding the fine line because of course you need to have balance and there needs to be some sort of like life mixture, but it wasn't balance and it wasn't my life that was caused. It was just me being a jackass and like
Yeah.
trying to eat, crumble cookie whenever I felt like it because I knew prep was coming back around. So I think a majority of why I was able to like not just grow, but like also be able to like have that heavier stage weight was I wasn't fighting taking off a crap ton of body fat, after my last off season to like have to work back off all of the muscle and all of the body fat.
Oh yeah. I know most of us can say we've been there. And I think part of that comes from misunderstandings. Like sometimes it's the notion you have to be within X amount of stage weight that I think then causes people to spiral when they see that number is higher. Or the opposite could be true. It could be, well, the the fear of reversing and improvement seeing being hard, season being, I was like, something's not coming out of my mouth right. Improvement season being hard that then people like anticipate these challenges. And I'm all for educating about that it's probably going to be challenging because these things change, but to expect failure from yourself, it's going to
That
freak you out.
I actually posted things on TikTok about it the other day because every time you go on there, you probably see it. Like it's like the reverse diet's harder than the prep, or if you do this, you're not going to reverse properly, or X, Y, and Z. And I would talk about it, I'm like, why? Why is it so much harder? Because someone told you it is? Because
Right.
someone gave you the idea that, like, yeah, of course you're gonna be hungrier, you have more freedom, but you did the hard part already. You did the cardio, you've done the dieting on like lower calories, you've already done the hardest part. Now just take that discipline and turn it around, and you can have, the reverse or like even the off-season body that you want. And that's something I always like try to talk to about, like even like my girls. I'm like, what do you want to have in off season? Of course you want to grow, but what else is there for you that you want to achieve? Is it you want to look good when you go out with your husband or your boyfriend? Is it, you want to feel confident walking into the gym in a sports bra and shorts still? Then that's something that we can work towards and make sure that like your reverse plan gets you there as well as boosting your metabolism again and rebuilding the love you have for the gym and all of those things because just because it's off season doesn't mean you have to hate the way you look or hate the
Correct.
way you feel. And I feel like that's such like a huge thing. Like a lot of people like recently, it's either the reverse diet's hard or like you don't have to love the way you look in all season, get uncomfortable. It's like you you can be comfortable and still grow. We don't have to do one or the other.
The only issue with that though is so many people think that the only reason that they'll be happy is if they're still looking like they're in prep. So I think you have to first accept that you're not going to look like you did on stage and then establish a new, healthier
Yeah,
goal to say, okay, yeah, I don't have to be uncomfortable, but I also have to be willing to admit that it's
I'm
not
not going to
gonna.
be stage lean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And that's no, and that's hard. And like I definitely feel like that's the hardest part is like accepting that. But like
Yeah.
for example, like I'll ask my clients like, what are three goals that you have for this off season for yourself that are outside of bodybuilding? So like if
Good.
your body doesn't, if you are putting on body fat, what else can you work towards? Because at the end of the day, we're not just the body we live in.
Right.
We're people and we have other things. So I'm like, if like for me, like right now in my off season, I was like, I want the biggest glutes y'all have ever seen. But like I want to keep my waist tight. Like there's things that like I'm willing to like, change around my food choices, change around meal time and break up those larger meals. Like like things like that where I'm like, okay, I know for myself that's what I want, but how do I get there? And
Right.
then I'll work with like people, like I'll talk to people, I'm like, so what do you want? You want to be better next season? Okay. What does that mean for you? What does that
Mhm.
mean today? Like, what are we gonna do to actually get there? Because I'm like, trust me, I talk to people like you probably talk to people all the time too. They're like, I love being stage lean, and it's like we all do,
Yeah.
but to an extent.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah. And I think that the more willing you are to let go a little bit of being stage lean, then the easier it'll be to maintain somewhere close to that. And then simultaneously, the better you'll get year after year. Like every year I competed, I would say most every year I competed. My improvement seasons got better. I got better. My prep looked better. Like this was the best I ever looked in this most recent, and it's my last season, but it was my most recent season. And I'm like, wow, what a great way to end it. Like knowing all this was a culmination of years and years and years, a decade of work. And so learning from people who have been through it multiple times is really good. And also knowing you're going to have to go through different growth phases and stages before you can get to that point also.
Yeah, no, 100%. I definitely think it takes like a different, like, kind of like mental side to like walk into to like know, like, hey, yeah, I'm still eating a meal plan pretty much every single day, but no, I'm not stage lean. Like, and I think that's a lot of times too, like, what people are like, okay, why am I eating my meal prep, but I'm not lean anymore? But it's like you still have other things like boost your metabolism. Like, I had the worst metabolism, I think, for the entirety of like my first like couple years
Really?
of like oh yeah, I would do like 2.5, 3 hours of cardio, 900 calories on like a good day, like things like that. Where now I'm like, I have like barely any cardio, maybe 10 minutes. I'm
Awesome.
at like in prep, I'm still at like 2,500 calories. Like in my peak weeks, I'm eating like 400 grams of carbs, like things like that. Where like now it's like I see the work that was put in and it does take
Yes.
time. And like that's like I think the number one thing like I love things like this and I love social media because it's like not everything is negative. And not, I
Correct.
think, like, and I'm like, reversing can be hard, but you can do it. And like, look what you get out of it when you do it, or like, when you
Right.
really take the time to like focus on what you want, not only in season, but out of season also.
That's right. Yeah, I honestly wish more people knew that when it comes to like the long-term development of being a competitor and especially being a bikini competitor with the demands of what it takes. It's no longer as easy, I guess you could say, as it was. I don't know that it was ever easy, but it's definitely not as easy as it was.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Like, it's definitely went from like more attainable. And I think that's another reason why they brought in like the fit
Yeah.
model was because it went from being like, you can hop off the street and go to the beach because I live
Right.
in Florida and go compete. Now it's like, no, you need to take years and you need to grow and you need to have the muscle density and the maturity to even get on stage at a regional level and be competitive.
That's right. I much prefer like the 2015 on look than like the 2013, 14. Like it
Yeah.
started getting bigger and bigger, which is good. And then I think it got like, whoa, this is now it's so out of reach. It feels like. Um, do you notice that since working with, well, let me ask you this differently. Has your approach changed since you let go of like perfectionism but started to focus more on okay, I need to just grow and focus on this and shift how my body is seen by me. Like it's no longer about looking this way all the time. It's about being comfortable with myself and my own goals. Has that changed your decision-making processes? Like, does it make it easier to go date night or go, okay.
Yeah, I think that I learn how to set myself up and how I would feel comfortable going into them because a lot of times too is like, I feel like even when people have like free meals or like a date night when you go out, it's like
Yes.
either they don't eat all day or like like it's like one of those things where I'm like that's one of those like oh you can have a free meal but just starve yourself the entire day and like that
Yeah.
and like I was there like, I know what people are talking about like where it's
Mhm.
like okay I'm going out to eat everything on this menu is going to
Yes.
say it's 5,000 calories like
I
where
know.
now I'm like no that is not the case I'm actually setting myself up for more failure where now I'm like I know that like the foods that I'm eating on my daily meal plan I can still have those for throughout the day and still go out and enjoy myself and have a meal, but
Right.
I might not be ravenous or, grabbing, hey, can I
Exactly.
get 12 appetizers? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like one of those. So I'm like, I think that like me letting go of that, like, you have to have a meal plan, everything has to be tracked type of way kind of gave me one, my life back a little bit like an off season, but I also know how to make better choices now as well. Like, so
Love
it's like
that.
I can walk into things and be like, okay, I could get chicken tenders and french fries with honey mustard, or I could get a steak and a potato and have a cookie later and have no repercussions of any of this. But
Correct.
all that fried food might not sit well in my stomach, and then I don't have room for a cookie because now my stomach hurts. So I'm
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
you know, I learned to like kind
Exactly.
of give and take a little bit of like what truly meant more to me. I guess it wasn't necessarily like the food. I think it was more of the company and going.
Right.
I also
Right.
need to accept like it wasn't like, okay, Connor's not going to hate me because I'm not having chicken dinners with him or a pizza. It's
That's
we're
right.
going out because we're spending time together. Like the main focus shouldn't be what I'm eating.
Exactly. Yeah, you know what? I think too, bodybuilding has changed for me personally, it's changed how I view all foods. Like now I can look at a burger and I'm like, okay, that's protein, carb, fat. And so what would make sense for me later today? Like I can
Yes.
actually or earlier in the day. So it's budgeting in a healthier way. It's not
Yes.
restricting to then be able to afford to have this. It's going, well, I know my body needs around this amount of blah, 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 blah. And this has been useful even through pregnancy. I'm not tracking anything, but like I'm having protein in every meal. Do you know what I
Yes.
mean? Like I
Eh,
know.
no, exactly. And that's like things I would tell like my girls too is I'm like, if you know you're gonna have a free meal, setting yourself up with like a good protein source beforehand is great. It doesn't have to be your exact meals, but like maybe focus on more protein dense options or maybe like things like a little bit lighter. Like maybe you just want like chicken and a side of fruit. Like it sounds stupid, but
Right.
like I do it every now and again where I'm like, it just sounds good. I get my protein in, I have something a little bit sweet, I have something that like got that craving of like the fruit out that I wanted. And I can still go to dinner tonight and have whatever I want because I'm not overstuffed, but I'm also not starving. So I
Hmm.
can make those better decisions instead of just being like, yeah, I won't eat till 6 o'clock tonight. No biggie, all day fast.
Exactly. I look back at times like that and I'm like, oh, no wonder you binged. Like,
Yep.
no wonder you felt awful. No, because you
Yes.
just, it was that all or nothing mentality. And I think this is why we need athletes and coaches who will talk about this, which that's what you're doing, because it's a big mistake that competitors make and non-competitors too. But something I really like is you are very open online too. So you share posts with lessons, tips, perspective. I'm actually curious, we're doing this publicly, of course, but how has sharing your journey and thoughts publicly impacted your process, maybe both for good, bad, or indifferent?
I think that for me, like when I talk to people that are like, hey, I saw your post, like I resonated with it. Like I needed this because nobody talks about it. Where I'm like, that's why I do this. Like at the end of the day, like if the stage went away, but all of these like little things that we can learn or whatever still were there, I would still 100% be that person where I'm like, I want to make sure that like people know they're not alone because there is a lot of things that like people don't want to talk about. Who the hell wants to talk about losing? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's
No,
no
literally
one,
that.
yeah. And it's like, but people don't realize that like you're going to lose way more in bodybuilding than you ever going to win. Unless you're like Amy or like Laura Lee or like, these girls out there, like they're amazing. And like, but that's not the consensus around the entire public. There's always something that we can improve on. And I feel like for me, I have a little sister too. So like I always like tell people a lot of things where I'm like, I don't talk about like PED stacks. I don't talk about things like that online. I will not do it because I have a little sister. And like, God forbid she found it. I wouldn't want someone else's little sister to find something and be like, I want to look like her. And I take this and now there's an issue. So that's why I kind of feel like when I do post things that like whether it's a lesson or something I learned or like whatever, I take into consideration that like I could make a difference for not only my little sister, but maybe somebody else's, or maybe the girl who's reading this can share it with somebody else and be like, hey, I might not be at the level where I want to be yet, but this girl that I know is, and she's going through some of the same stuff you are, but she's a pro. So like
Yeah,
it can kind of like almost like humanize the feelings of what we're all going through bodybuilding because
nailed it.
it's some of the stuff sucks, and like some of it's really hard. But if you feel you're going through it alone, it's even worse.
I love that you said that, and I love the way you said that too, because that's been one of my motivating factors ever since, like, I started to build more than just a body 10 years ago, actually. Well, it's going to be 11 in January, but so long ago, it wasn't until 2018 that I applied it to bodybuilders. And at first, like, you know, it was 2018. We already talked about it. It wasn't a lot of like mental health, mindset. So
No.
was like screaming into the abyss, like, but I stuck with it because there was always one or two people, and then that turned into four or five, and that turned into 100, 1,000 global. Okay, wow, now things are happening. And I think when you are brave enough to share your beliefs, your message, your heart, and like you said, humanize those hard things, really, it not only brings connection and meaning, which are very important things, but it brings a level of reality that prepares people. It's not just all glam, right? So someone like your little sister can go, okay, well, she's actually talking about how this could come up, this could come up, this could come up. So I'm not just thinking, oh, as soon as I start competing, life's gonna be sunshine rainbows. I'm gonna be this hot thing and look great. Oh, mm-mm.
Yeah. And I feel like that's a lot of times too, like where people like we all probably had the same notion of you turn pro and people are knocking down your doors with sponsorships and free stuff and they're throwing things at you and like all this stuff and like it sounds like it should be because that's how like NFL is and like NBA, but like
Yeah, exactly.
it's not the same over here. So like I think that like the difference is especially with that is like I feel like with bodybuilding and like one of my favorite things about it is that like sure, we might not have those big opportunities, but what we do have is a community of people who get it and who are close knit. And you can't trade that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can go anywhere and people are like rooting for a football team. They lose once and they're like, oh, I hate them. And they move on. Bodybuilding, no matter if we win or lose, at the end of the day, there's always still someone rooting for us because they know what we've gone through. And like, they see like the hard stuff and all of that. So it's like, sure, you might not get the big ass checks that come with being on the NFL. But there's something beautiful about just having a community of people and people around you that get it and want to see you win, even when things get hard, or maybe you like I could get that last and I still have people tell me like you did amazing. I'm so happy for you.
Literally.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. Like I I quit, if you want to call it quitting, but I quit 10 years after pushing and pushing, right, to get this pro card, and I didn't get it, but I got so much more. And
Exactly.
like it took years to realize, oh, this is why God had me here. It wasn't for this. It was for this. It was this bigger picture. And
Hmm.
I think when you let go of expectations, you're going to be more likely to be um like grateful and content with what you get.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. And I think that's the fun of becoming a pro, I think also is the chase of the pro
Mm.
card. And like that was one thing that like I tell everyone like when they're like, oh, I'm going to nationals, I'm like, why? You just got nationally qualified. What is the rush?
Hmm.
And they're like, wait, well, you're a pro. I'm like, yes, no, I am. But I also know how like fulfilling the fun of the NPC was and being an amateur. Like it's you don't ever get that back. Like going backstage and meeting girls who have never competed before and they're telling you how much it like lit up their life and like, things were like I have so X, Y, and Z expectations, and it's like, but I just blew it out of the water. I did it. Like, like little things like that where it's like you really don't ever get that back, except for those first couple of years. And like I think that's amazing. Like even after like if you, the first pro card attempt, if you don't get it, keep going. Like if you're close, keep going, but don't look at it as, oh, I lost. What can I learn? Who else can I continue to inspire on my journey?
Mm.
Who else can I maybe put like bodybuilding in front of that maybe didn't see it, but now they're seeing how much I've mentally grown or like even physically grown, and you do it, like you said, by
Yes.
yourself. It's not like someone's in the gym telling you, like pushing you, like add on two more plates. You have to do this. You have to eat these meals. So it does grow you all over and everywhere.
Oh yeah, I love that so much. And you were speaking earlier too about you're gonna lose, and it's nobody likes to talk about losing, but it's gonna happen. And I think a lot of people actually struggle with their work not being reflected in their placings and feeling robbed. I'm using air quotes for those who aren't watching the the video on YouTube, but they feel robbed in some ways. And I think the mentality you're sharing is learn instead of lose, or learn from the loss, right? So when you look back on your journey, I mean, you had gone from what we already described with the fourth and the 15th. But a year later, you actually made your pro debut. And in your first two pro shows, you were in the sea of 16 before 2024, where you cracked into 11th place. The following month, came out all the way on top, earned your Olympia qualification with a first place finish at the Atlantic Coast Pro. How did you take that win and those lessons of your hard work not showing air quotes to go, wow, I'm going to continue to work and make a statement on the IFBB Pro stage prior to Olympia?
For me, I think it was still a lot of imposter syndrome. It was a lot still
Hmm.
of, you went from dead last to now first place. Is this a fluke? Is it a one-time
Wow.
thing? Like, am I ever going to be in first call-outs again? Like, that was my biggest thing. I think even going into Tampa Pro this year, I still had all these same thoughts where it was like, okay, I just want to show, and then I shut it down. What if I go back out there and I get dead last again?
Hmm.
Now everybody who rooted for me and cheered me on when I won is going to be disappointed. But at the end of the day, I was like, I didn't continue competing because of what other people expected of me. I continue competing because this is sound crazy, but I never want to feel the feelings of disappointment I had for myself after Miami in 2023. I
Hmm.
was not embarrassed that I lost again. I was embarrassed for myself because I knew that I could be better and I
Hmm.
knew that I could continue to improve and do better. I just needed to be able to figure out what was going to take me to that next level. And I think once I started to realize that, like, even going to Camp Pro, I was like, I need to remind myself why I'm here. I'm here because I want to prove to myself that I'm still better than I was last year. I'm better than I was 2 years ago. I've done everything to set myself up, but I'm over here worried about what Nancy and Jill and the audience are going to say about me. No, come on. Like, it's like, it was one of those things, but I felt too that, like, I definitely had more pressure because I went from necessarily not, I don't know how to explain, like, it wasn't the easiest journey to first. It wasn't like I got
No, it wasn't.
11th and then I got fifth and then I got sixth
Mm-mm.
and then I got fourth. Like, it was like 11th to first. And I think that
Yeah,
was a big factor of like how I felt was because it was a huge jump. So then when I
for
did get to
sure.
Tampa, I was like, I got first call outs and I was like, okay, cool. Like, we're back up here. Like, cool. But
Yeah.
it was still, okay, we're not in that first place. Like, now what do I do? Like, how do I continue to get
Mhm.
better? And I think that, like even like you said, like growing up like a child athlete, it
Hmm.
really does like change the way you think about like sports and things like
Yeah.
that. Where like, some people, like, I talked to girls who've gotten third and they're like, I can't believe it. I'm like, you got third on a pro stage. Like,
So amazing.
yeah. And I'm like, and I think that's something too. Like, I really made sure that like once I started having those thoughts of like, what happens if I don't win? And I changed it to like, I'm still saying I'm next to girls who have been doing this for so many more years than me. And they all work just as hard.
That's
We
right.
also, and I'm like, we also don't know what people like did to get here or like what they've gone through. So like no matter who wins, someone deserves it on that day. And it's just because it was their day. And that was something that I had to like really remind myself for this season in the beginning versus any of my other season before. And I think it was because that was like before Atlantic Coast win, the only other win I had was my pro card.
Right.
So that's it. Like I only, I only knew winning like once.
Yeah,
So it was like
exactly.
more, like way more pressure than I think that like I thought about. And then when I realized, like, at the end of the day, if I go home, my family's still gonna love me. My fiance's still gonna love me, no matter if I get first or if I get 16th, you know? And like I
That's
think be able to like really focus on how I was feeling and changing the narrative in my own head helped me throughout the rest of the season when it wasn't, top two, top two, top two. It was like, okay, we got second. Now we got
right.
fifth. Now we're over here. Like, so it kind of just helped me, I guess, just like separate and like really get to understand like how I was feeling. And
Mhm.
then of course you have social media. So everyone's posting like who's gonna win, who's gonna win, you
Us, oh
know.
yeah, especially as a pro, it's like this is your lineup. These are the ones
Uh,
to watch. I could see that having
yeah.
an
And my new
influence.
favorite one is the women's AI one where they put like all of our numbers. Yeah, oh yeah, I don't know if you saw this. They put it all in like a generated number thing and it'll like make the odds for everybody. It was like the
Oh,
strangest thing.
that's
Yeah,
interesting.
I was like, how did we get this? How did we get these numbers?
Hey, you know what? It's kind of funny, like how much bodybuilding has become more of a public, exciting public thing, not just people in bodybuilding like to
Yeah.
know. Most of us are in the bodybuilding world, which is also funny when you think about it. Like, oh, I'm worried about what these people are going to think who have also lost a million times. Um,
Yes.
but you made it to the Olympia. So that's a huge accomplishment. And I think, we need to repeat this for the listeners. You've placed first 2 times
Yep.
and you made it to the Olympia. So this noise about my husband always says bump that noise, which is funny because I never said that or heard that before I married him. And so I'm like, bump that noise. But he's like, why are you using all my phrases now? But anyway, that noise about, oh, you have to win an overall and then you have to, and then you have to. I mean, come on, like you're living proof of that. So talk to us about your movement from imposter syndrome to was this a fluke to I belong here, this is good.
So I definitely think a lot of it was more on like my end because I feel like obviously we all go on social media. Everyone has their highlight reel going. They have the best glute pump, they have the best shoulder pump. And like for me, I was always like, I don't look like that. I am not the most muscular person you're gonna find. I am not the densest person you're gonna find. But then I started thinking about it. I was like, well, I didn't have the most muscle on the Atlantic Coast. I wasn't the biggest girl there. I wasn't the most seasoned. Like
True.
I'm a nobody. Like I never won a show. I barely got out of 16th. I was only 11 at a hurricane because there's only 12 of us. Like it it wasn't like, so it was one of those
Yeah.
things where I was like, okay, and the realization finally hit me that like if I could do that, why can't I do it now?
Mhm.
What's the difference of, 8 months? I
That's
took
it.
the time to grow. I followed my reverse. I was like, I've done everything that I can. My coach has done everything that she's can. So why am I worried about what's going to happen if I can just show up and have fun? I'm like, every time I go to compete, like you can probably talk to anybody that like has competed with me or been backstage. Like I'm not the most serious by any means. I am back there. I'm having fun. I'm bothering other people. We're talking.
Bothering.
We're listening to like music. We're having fun because I don't think it's that serious at the end of the day. Like
Yeah.
if you can't have fun with it, then what's the point? And I think that's the biggest thing too, is like I was like, I'm going to Tampa stressed. But for what?
Why? Yeah.
Like there's so much more things in my life that I could be stressed about versus am I gonna win? And then I was like, also, they asked for more glutes. I brought more glutes. They asked to keep my waist small. I kept it small. I'm like, there was things that like I could feasibly connect with what they were asking me for to then bring for this season. And then I think also like I just love bodybuilding. I love the evolution of it. So like for me, I had a different look at almost every single show I went into this year, whether it was really freaking lean, really full, in between, trying to get back there, then super lean again at Olympia. So it was kind of fun to like see like,
Hmm.
I was like at this point, I'm like, first off, it's my first Olympia. I'm not gonna put my cards on being first place. Let's start there. So I was like, if this season could be more fun for me and allow me to see my body in different with different variables added in, whether it's food, water manipulation, sodium, potassium. Let's see what it can do and use this year as more of my fun, less like career like, I guess.
For
And then
sure.
next season, I know now where I stand. I know what I need to do. And that one can be more of a stressor or like career feeling on me. But I literally, after I realized that like I was having those like imposter syndrome thoughts, I was like, for what? Like,
Mm.
this is not me. Like, this is not me. I'm taking the fun out of it. I don't know. I was like, why? Like, what is so stressful? And I like, so it was like, I almost just needed to like take myself out of this like little like bubble that I was in because you're right. It is the social media with the your top runner. She's Olympia qualified. It's a lot. Like when you start seeing that, and then people are like, yeah, she's gonna win. She's gonna win. And it's like, okay, now I don't win, and now what? Or like,
Yeah.
is it? And then you also don't know who's ever going to show up,
Yeah, or who's not, who's supposed to be there, and then they don't show up, and everyone's like, "Oh, well, I was
which is
training
like
to beat that person."
exactly. So it's like it was one of those where I was like, I just needed to get out of my own way and change like the internal dialogue that I was having myself constantly and stop almost comparing myself to last season and realize that
Mhm.
like no matter where I am in my journey, every year I'm growing, whether it's mentally, it's physically, like it's always going to be different and it's never going to have that same feeling that it might have had last season.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think you made a couple really great points. So, first of all, the having fun. What if it's the last time, your last time being backstage or last time stepping on stage? Like sometimes we don't actually know when that's going to be. And to be able to look back and know you had a fun, positive experience. Like I look back at some of the shows where I was like, no, I didn't. And I'm like, why? It was so great. Like, what was I
Hmm.
thinking? And so we learn and we apply, of course. And then you made another great point, which was you're always growing season to season. So to compare to the previous, not great. But when you think about, I'm about to step on stage, I've delivered on this feedback. So that's all that really matters. And lastly, you said something that reminded me of Ashlyn, who just placed second at the Olympia. Um, but Ashlyn had a season similar to you one year. I don't remember what year, but I remember she came on and she talked about it, where they were just testing everything, even down to like the color of her lip. I will never forget that. She said even to the color of her lipstick. I was like, dang, that's a lot of commitment. But like, it sounds like you were testing looks this year before the Olympia.
Pretty much, yeah. So they at Tampa, they loved my look. And they said, we just want more like glute fullness from like your front pose. So we were like, perfect, easy. We'll fill out harder. Tyler was like, great idea. Fill out whatever. We went to Tampa, Texas. We filled out. We like I was full as a house. I looked jacked. I wouldn't say it was my favorite look just because I feel like because I was so full, I had a hard time posing. Like, because you can
Hmm.
almost like feel it in your waist. And that actually
Yeah,
was part of my feedback was like like Bill said, like you can kind of see like your posing just wasn't 100% there. He's like, I just don't know if you were uncomfortable or like something
interesting.
wasn't the same. And then he was like, you were way too full. Don't ever do this again. And I was like, Roger that.
Yeah, I'd rather push
Um,
it too far than be told a little bit more.
Yeah, so it was like we pushed it all the way to the max and we got our feedback from that. And it was like, that's not what they like on me, and that's okay. And then we went to Battle of the Bodies after that. I wasn't supposed to, but we started reversing out of Texas, and my body was just like, go, 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 go. Okay, I lied. Just kidding. In between that was the road to Olympia in Pittsburgh.
Hmm.
So, and that's the same thing happened. My body was still firing. We got there, and Tyler and Bill were like, no, this is so lean. Why is she so lean? Like, what is going on? Like, I had like striations in my IT bands. Like, it was just
Oh,
like oh yeah, it was crazy. Like, my body was just like firing like on all cylinders.
yeah.
So we were like, okay, we'll keep eating. We kept eating. And then Tyler was like, don't you live in Fort Lauderdale? You should just try that show and see if you can nail the look. I was like, not a bad idea. We did that. I got fifth, so I wasn't mad about it by any means. I still was a little bit fuller than where I technically like myself. I do like the very lean, like hard, full muscle look. Um, my feedback there was still, we want you to replicate Tampa. I was like,
Hmm.
okay, well, we're having a hard time replicating Tampa because you guys are asking for, a bunch of different things. But I was like, we'll just go to the next one. We'll see what we can do. We went to Daytona next, and I got ninth there. And Bill said he was like, I want Tampa. I want the same look you had. I don't know
Huh.
what you guys did, but that's what we want." And I was like, okay, like
Sure, let me
we're
just copy and paste that because that's easy
yeah.
to do. It
I
only
know, and
took us a lot to
exactly.
nail that look.
Well, and that's the whole thing. It's like, now that was my first show of the season. I'm fresh, I'm ready, my body is
Right.
happy. I'm now 5 shows in, and my body's like, Shawty,
Yeah, we
why
are
are we still
not.
cutting? Yeah,
This is not Tampa anymore.
yeah, we're in Daytona, unfortunately. So that's when he said he was like, listen, like going into Olympia, like I think you just need to be as lean as you can and then get feedback from there. So I was like, perfect.
Wow.
We'll just get as lean as I can because that's the look you guys want. We'll get there. Um, my Olympia feedback was too, I was too lean from Sandy. I just need more muscle, which we knew, but it was one of those things where I'm like,
Give
a
and
lot of times
take.
stress, exactly. And it's all personal preference. So for
Yeah,
me, I knew like, I guess for me at the end of the day, it was more of the fact of I also wanted to be extremely happy with how I looked on the Olympia stage, regardless of
for
what my placing
sure.
was. I
For
think
sure.
that like your first show, there's no stress, there's nothing besides I'm just here and I'm busy for a week. So to be able to get on stage knowing like I enjoyed the way I looked, I loved my hair, my makeup, my tan, my and the entire package kind of meant more to me than if I would have gone with that fuller look they normally go for Olympia for my first one.
It's a great point. Yeah, it is your Olympia too,
Yeah,
like it's not actually, and it's interesting because Maureen takes that approach with her competing at the Olympics. She's like, I'm just gonna bring the look I want to bring.
yeah,
It's
and
worked
it
out well
works.
for her.
Yeah, and that was one of the things I too like people are like, oh, but like the criteria is this, and I'm like, and that's great. But like, they've been asking me for X, Y, and Z the entire season. Let's just bring it and see now what can you say? Because now I'm not against, maybe girls who like it's their first season
Yeah.
or they're not 100% on or whatever. I'm getting next to girls that are the best in the world and I want to continue to be one of the best in the world. So that's the feedback I need. I need feedback against these girls. I don't need feedback against myself. I
Right.
want feedback against everybody else. So I know, hey, we don't like the curly hair on you. Let's straighten it. We don't like the red suit. Let's change it. What are things that I can
Yes.
continue to change and fix while standing next to the girls that are the best? Because that's where I want to get to. So why not show up and just get feedback at it and also love all of the aspect of it, whether it's, changing things up. Like, I took all of my regular extensions out and just did flip-ins for Olympia. Like, we were finding things that worked better, whether it was like my eyebrows needed to be darker or like,
Hmm.
yeah, the weirdest thing. But I'm like, they disappear. They're blonde naturally, so I have to dye them. But like by that time, it was like, okay, they need to be a little bit darker or getting spray tanned instead of doing the DIY. That was
Yeah.
something that like I had to do because like my body was not having it with the 5 shows back to back. So like,
Right.
and like then it even showed me like I kind of like getting sprayed again instead of the DIY every time. It's a lot easier, a lot less stress, like stress free.
It's interesting you say that because I was so I really advocated for the DIY tan with Pro Tan, and I still think it's a good option, but I can agree because I did it all through 2020 because I was like, this is the year to try things. I can only and I did all my own makeup that and after that I always did my own makeup unless it was for like a big show. But like, anyway, the DIY Protan, great product.
I love it.
Yeah, it's so nice. And actually, I find the process to be not
Calming.
stressful. Yeah, yeah. The only thing that I recall from this year is I was like, I'm gonna do all spray tan because one, I didn't want to buy more product, knew it was gonna be the last, and two, I was like, I really want them to just touch it, and I'm traveling for all my shows. Like, I want them to just touch it up,
Yep.
and the timing of that with showering and all that. So. I'm really glad I did the 10 because I had some stuff happen, where having them there to touch it up, I was like, I could have never, like I could have never.
No. And like the thing is, like with Jamie, Greg, Drew, everyone, they're always on site. So like if something happens, they always help us. If if you could have seen my face every time I walked into check-in for Daytona, and every time they told me like we need you to be a little bit darker, you need more tan. I'm like, I am 6 bottles of super dark in.
Exactly.
My body
Exactly.
has no more room. Where do I put it? And it's like it has to develop too. So it's like
Yep.
you have to put it on, you have to sit in it, and then it's like, okay, it's still not dark enough. Now what? And then it was like my skin started to get dry, and it was, I guess, one of those things where like Protan was like, the solution isn't made to be on and off your skin every single weekend throughout the year.
Yeah, exactly.
So like by the time I blew through 3 bottles of super dark at Daytona weekend, I was like,
That's
we're getting
insane.
sprayed. Yeah, I was like, I'm not packing all this in my suitcase for what? It's for clothes.
Exactly.
Like
No,
that's why I was like, I'm just gonna
exactly.
get sprayed. I was like, it's not even worth it. Like, spray me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And really the only downside of getting sprayed is the cold fans.
Yes,
That's really
Ye-
it.
that's really it. And I'm a sweater when the tan goes on.
Oh, okay.
Like, it's so bad. Like my armpits, they're if you look at any of my photos, they're white. They are completely white.
Your pits are like, we
And
are not taking this spray tan.
literally I'm getting sprayed for Olympia and she's like, oh my God, like, is it warm in here? I'm like, it's just the solution. The second you hit me, I'm gonna start sweating. I don't know what it is, and I don't know
Wow.
why. But like if you ever like backstage, I'll have to take a picture one time, or someone has to have one. I walk around with paper towels, literally like the entire time. I'm like, they're not going anywhere. It's not gonna drip. We're fine. We're all
Yeah.
good.
That's right. You don't want it to drip.
Yeah, no, but white armpits is it's part of my look, I think, at this point.
White is better than green.
Very true. Very, very
So
true.
shout out to your
Yeah.
body for doing white, not green.
Yeah, it's like just get the tan off of us, please.
Literally. Yeah. Okay. And not to mention with the DIY tan too, it's hard with a spray tan already to get it off between shows, but it's I think a lot easier, especially if the product's always going to be the same. Like you're not going from like let's say a LSR to a Pro Tan because it is different. But when you're going from pro tan, it's kind of nice because if it's weekend to weekend, you can choose to just tend the tan and
Yes.
build on it, or you can get it off fast enough. Now, one thing, do not use Nair. I do not care. Do not use Nair to get your tan off. I got a chemical burn before. Yes, literally got a
Wait, you put it
chemical burn.
on to get it off?
Yeah, I was reading online. I was like ways to get off a tan, and I don't ever go on Reddit. Like literally, I am like no, I don't use Reddit. But someone on Reddit was like, I swear by this. So I was like, okay. And Nair has always been like not great on my skin, so I should have known. But I was like, well, I'll get the sensitive kind. No, ended up with a chemical burn going into the Pittsburgh Sports Festival.
Oh my
I was
gosh.
pissed. And it hurt. It hurt so bad. Like I couldn't scrub my skin anymore, nothing. So that was a
I couldn't
huge
even
mistake.
imagine. Nair hurts by itself. I couldn't imagine to get the tan off. That was the thing too, is like in between Texas and Olympia, like so in between Tampa to Texas and then Daytona to Olympia, all I did was baby this tan. I was like, you are not coming off. You are staying on. We're not going to get patchy. Like, I was like, literally, like, taking lotion, like, slowly. I'm like, it's okay. We're just going to stay. Like, I just need you for one more week. Please don't crack.
You're towel drying like this. You're like,
Yes. You're just slowly patting it off. You're like, please don't go anywhere. Like, but I've heard that if you soak in, or like, not soak, I guess, but like apply a good amount of like coconut oil and then put tan back on top of it after it's like dry, it'll help that like cracky look that you could apply another one without having like repercussions of the tan
oh
coming
wow,
off.
that's interesting.
Yeah, I'll
That's-
have to try it and I'll let you know.
yeah, hey, you try that out, but not on show day, okay?
Yeah, no, 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 no. Yeah, anyone listening, don't try that. Well, I'll
Yeah,
do it
don't
for
try
you
this at home.
first. Yeah, I'll try it first.
Yeah, I love it. I know my friend Lauren Adams has like this entire cheat sheet of how she like
Oh,
tends
really?
her tan, so she might have some tips for you
That's
too. She's
awesome.
very pale. Like I'm
That's
getting the
my
impression
problem.
you're pale. You don't look pale in
Yeah.
this video or online, but like I feel like if you had to do 3 bottles of super tan, you're pale or super dark.
Yeah, I usually start tanning on Wednesday for a
Oh,
Saturday
okay.
show. So I haven't
Yeah.
started tanning. Like this is because it's cooler in Florida, so I can actually go outside without dying.
Yeah.
But
There you
normally
go.
I'm not this color.
Yeah, isn't that funny? Like when I lived in Arizona, they're like, "Oh, you're vitamin D deficient." I'm like, "What do you mean?" Like I'm in
Yeah,
Arizona. It's like, "Oh yeah, because I never go outside when it's summer."
yeah. It's only 150 degrees outside, no biggie.
Yeah, exactly. So, what is the next evolution for you or the next focus as an athlete, coach,
Coaching
woman?
right now, I have a lot of new athletes, like new competitors, which I am obsessed with because like they are so like excited and like dedicated and just like motivated, and it's so great because I'm like they have all the same like experiences that I wanted to have as like my first time competitor. Like I want to make sure like they see like there's so much good in everything. So for me, like really focusing on like making sure that their entire journey from whether it's now in their building phase all the way through prep into the reverse and all that kind of stuff is realistically like what my biggest goal is to make sure like they all have the best like experience as well as like any of my clients that like I have had like making sure that no matter what season they're in, whether it's they just got off stage or whatever, that I am still like that rock that is there for them through it all. Whether it's, you have a family thing that comes up and you just need someone to talk to, or, you don't know how to navigate your significant other not being supportive, or, like little things like that where it's like, it's not just about, I feel like for me, it's not just about the coaching aspect and getting them on stage. It's also about helping them build every aspect of their life and being happy in everything. So whether that's, being able to understand like going out to eat and being able to track something and understanding like what the food does for them, or explaining like, hey, you might want this color posing suit, but we think this one's better for you for X, Y, and Z reasons. Or, like I have like I love doing posing calls with them too because it's like you
Yeah.
see like the light click or like when they get into the poses, it's like the light bulb clicks and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this. I'm actually doing
Right.
this. And it's like something that like I always told myself, like I always thought about like when I first started competing, I'm like, I'm gonna be missing so much of my life when I stop competing. I'm
Hmm.
going to have such a void of not having bodybuilding. And I never could figure out what could keep me there without having to obviously be on stage the entire time. Where now I feel like with coaching, I get so much fulfillment out of watching them thrive and being to be like their support system. Or like even one of my clients, like she probably has no problem. I've told so people the story and she loves it, but it was her first show this last year in July and I was backstage with her, and like she went from 160 pounds to 104. And like that's, yeah, like so for her, it was like,
Wow.
this is life changing. Like, she's 5 foot. Like it's
Mm.
life changing to see yourself that way and like have confidence. And I
Mm.
was backstage with her about to go on stage, and I was like, I'm gonna watch in the audience and get photos. And she starts tearing up and she's like, I need you back here. Like, we're a team. Like, we did this together. I need you to stay back here with me. And like that, I think is like when it hit me that like, I'm not
Mhm.
just doing this for like them to get on stage. I'm doing this to like make sure that like they're confident and they're happy and they're thriving and like whether it's win, lose, or in the middle, they have a great time, a great experience, and like they learn something or they find something in the sport. Whether it's friends, family, community, like all of that is like what I really want to like focus my coaching on, not just having girls win. Of course, that's always the goal, but also adding to every other aspect of their life. Competing, I don't know what my season looks like for this yet
Mhm. Yeah.
for myself. So I'm planning on competing this year.
Yeah.
If Jamie tells me I need to continue to keep growing, I will continue to keep growing. I have no problem with that. I think the beauty of bodybuilding is bodybuilding.
Right.
And now with the having to win 2 shows to get into Olympia, it is going to be a little bit harder. So it's something that I'm willing to like put the work into and focus on and take my time to do, whether that's I compete this year and do it or I don't. For myself, I do not want to compete, get to Olympia by points. That is one thing I did put for myself is I will not do
Hmm.
it that way. Yeah.
Because of the demand of all the shows or because okay.
Yeah, I don't see it reflecting well on the body or the season or you know what I'm saying? Like I did 5 shows this
Mhm.
season and I could see the progression of like where I was losing muscle and where
Yeah.
I started to get stringy and like that's not something I want to keep doing. So then I get back to Olympia and it's like, okay, I've lost muscle again. It's
Right.
kind of like I would rather be able to go into something knowing like, hey, I could possibly win 2 shows and then shut it back down versus, let's do 45 shows and then you're still collecting points, a week out before Olympia or a couple weeks
Exactly.
out. So I mean, for me, that's where I stood on it. And I know a lot of people are like, who cares if you get points, you still get there. I just, for me, as like the athlete I am and like how competitive I am with myself, I just know that that's not reflective of how I want to get back there.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I think we saw some of that that's why they had changed it initially, right? No more point system because you had seen that impact on athletes' physiques and their
Hmm.
longevity in the sport too, or their willingness to keep going. Um, Now I think some people might just get there by points and it's smooth and it just happens because they're competing and competing. And then I think, yeah, for some people who, like you have experience going, okay, well, after a certain amount of shows, I notice my body changing in this way. So you don't want to risk it, get to the Olympia stage. This is what I'm hearing anyways. Get to the Olympia stage and not bring something better.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, like I don't want to go just to go. Like that, my first one was like, let's just go to go.
Yeah.
Now it's like I want to go and I want to make a point. I want to make a point that like I am improving, I am listening to feedback, I am constantly showing up. But at what risk? Is it
Right.
whether it's health because of, peptides and PEDs or it's, longevity in the sport? Like that's something that like I really do care about is like being able to do it for long term and keep
Mhm.
myself healthy and happy through it all versus like, hey, how many shows can I knock in and knock out, grab my points, go to Olympia, and then have to, then next year, what does that set you up for?
Exactly.
You're just exhausted again. And like, I get why I understand why they did it. I truly do. It's just, I don't know if the point system is necessarily the safest route for athletes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't disagree with that at all, especially female athletes. I think this very demanding, especially with the criteria. Like you said, there's a lot of other risk factors to consider. So I
Yeah.
appreciate you sharing that. I'd love to get your best advice. So what's your best advice for someone who's never competed before but wants to, and then your best advice for somebody who is on their road to pro?
My best advice for someone who's never competed before is do your research on coaches. Not every coach you find is going to be the coach for you, and that's okay. Not every coach has methods that you want to use, and that's okay. Talk to athletes of that coach that you're looking for. I think talking to the coach is amazing, but also talking to people that have worked with that coach. Find out, their communication style, their knowledge, their experience, what they love about the sport too. A lot of times, if you asked any one of like these coaches, like any other athletes, like, hey, what does your coach love of the sport? Everyone's going to have a different response. And maybe that's not something that resonates with you. Maybe they love the sport because they love how intense and how hard the in season is. But that doesn't resonate with you because you don't want that. You want the longevity, you want the smoother, easier prep. But then you can find someone who loves the, hey, let's build your metabolism first. Let's focus on building you healthy the right way and then get you on stage where it might be a little bit longer of a process, but that's actually works better for you because that's how they enjoy doing things versus, hey, let's crank this as much as we can. We'll give you as much cardio and as low amount of food, but don't worry, we'll get you on stage in 6 months. Every coach does have their route and path of how they like to coach. Where, like, even for me, like, I like to start with metabolism building first. I think that's something that, like, I missed when I first started competing. So, finding a coach that resonates not only with you, but also your morals
Yes.
is
I
going to
love
be a
that.
big one because there are a lot of people like the natural division's huge nowadays. Not everyone needs to be taking peptides and PEDs, and that's okay. That's
Exactly.
completely okay, you know. And that's another thing too is like the red flags of coaching is make sure that you are doing all the research. I would not say Reddit. Do not go on Reddit. They will trash anybody they have a chance to. But there are a lot of like either whether it's like pro bikini news, like any of those kind of people, they all know these coaches. They know people who have been working with these coaches. They talk to these coaches, watch podcasts. That was one of the things like when I first started, I used to always watch your podcast with all the coaches. I think you call
Oh,
it Coaches Corner, and
Coach
I loved
Series.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel
That's
like I learned
awesome.
so much because it was like
Oh,
I might not have to talk to them, but I could pick up on things that like maybe I didn't know about them. Maybe I didn't know like their communication style isn't hands-on. Maybe it's not them who's actually like you're talking to. You're talking to an assistant, but they're the one making the
right.
calls. There's a lot of like different moving parts that people don't realize. So if you're watching a new type of competitor, please go watch the Coaches Corners ones because they were so
Yeah.
good.
I'm glad
And
you
like,
thought so. I love those too. Actually, they got me the most hate, I'll say that, but also the
really?
most love. Yeah, like it was like the biggest I mean, like so much love, but also so much hate.
Yeah, no, I love them because I was like, and the thing is too, like a lot of those bigger name coaches, maybe people can't afford them. So like they never get that
Yes.
opportunity to talk to them, but they can maybe hear about like, hey, we do things this way. And then if you have a coach, you could be like, hey, I heard about on a podcast X, Y, and Z. Is this something that we could do? Is it something like we can like bring in and like whatever? And I think that my last bit of advice for the new competitors is it is your journey at the end of the day. So if there is something that you want or something that does not feel right, you have to speak up because nobody can do it for you. You have to say something always.
That's good. What about for someone on their road to pro?
Enjoy it. In freaking enjoy it. It is going to be fun. It is going to be grueling, but one thing you will never get back is that chase of the pro card. The chase of the pro card is so much different than the chase for Olympia or for anything like that because you only get so many chances throughout the year and it's never going to be the same girls. They're also going to be either like massive shows or very small. One thing I will say though is do not let it beat you down. Do not let these shows beat you down. You have to go in there knowing that regardless of what the placing is, you still deserve it. It's not if, it's when. And just you have to just keep grinding and showing up because sooner or later it is going to be your day.
Love that. I think that's very encouraging. And again, your story really exemplifies that, everything that you've shared. So thank you for sharing so much. And I'd love for people to work with you, connect with you, follow your journey. So how can they do that?
So if you do want to apply for coaching me, I do work with Fit Body Fusion. So you would have to go to their website. It's also in my link in my Instagram, but you would just go to competition lifestyle application, choose Taylor Crowell. You have to choose me so it goes straight to me, and then we can hop on a call and chat about all things bodybuilding, your current plan, what you're looking for, all the fun stuff. For Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, it is T Crowell Fit on all of them. I try to make them all the same
Love
this
it.
time because they were all different.
Yeah.
I do weekly vlogs in season and out of season on YouTube. I have TikTok I stay active on, and Instagram is obviously all of our main platform that we all connect on. So even
Mhm.
though the algorithm hates us all, it's okay.
I know.
We're all still there.
Love it. That's awesome. Well, we'll put that in the show notes. So, you guys, that's always on celestial.fit/podcast. If you are listening in the future, scroll down to the category section where you can find everything alphabetized. Not only will you see how you can connect with us, but you're also going to see a full summary of the episode, a bulleted list of the topics we covered, and episode timestamps so you can go back, listen to your favorite parts, share it with your friends, your family, your teammates, let them know what resonated with you. And of course, tag us if you listen. Let us know. It goes a long way, not just for the show, but mainly, honestly, guys, for the athletes. Like, imagine coming on, sharing your story vulnerably, openly, and getting a message about it. Like, how amazing that would feel to know it made a difference. So, um, feel free to do that. I know that everybody loves that. So please, feel free to tag us and reach out to us. And thank you all for listening. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, night, or morning, wherever you are in the world while you're listening to this episode. Just make it awesome.